All right, this video will be solving equations that involve combining like terms, which is skill set C. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and remind you of a couple of general things when solving equations. Remember that the goal when you're doing this is to isolate the variable or get the variable by itself. So if your variable is x, you want to end up with x is equal to something because we want to find out what the variable is equal to. That's the whole point of doing it. And then just remember that whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other side to keep things balanced. So the way that I remember this is I think of my equal sign as the balancing point, and I remember that whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So let's go ahead and solve the examples on your reference guide. My advice when you're doing this is to first watch and listen, and then maybe pause the video and write down the steps. It's pretty hard to watch, listen, and write down. So I would watch and listen and then write down. The video is pretty short, so that won't take you very long. All right, so the first thing I do is I extend my equal sign so that I can, use that as my balancing point. So this is one side of the equation and this is the other side. Even though this side looks a lot longer, this is one half and this is the other half. Okay, so with combining like terms, the first step that you have to do is combine terms that are alike. So that's step one. So what I do is I look at one side of the equation and see if there are any terms that are alike, that have the same variable, or two constant terms without a variable, for example. So on this equation, I can see that 2x and 3x are alike. And the important thing to notice is that this 3x has a plus in front of it. That is just the same as saying it is a positive 3x. So I'm going to combine those terms. If I have 2x plus 3x, that gives me 5x. And then I still have the plus 10. And then on the other side, I'm going to look for any alike terms, but there's only this one term of 20, so that's all I've got. So I'm going to write down the 20. And now I'm down to a two-step equation. So for my my step 2, I'm going to undo addition or subtraction on the variable side. Okay, so this is a plus 10. So to eliminate or undo that, I'm going to subtract 10. And then the positive plus 10 and the minus 10 cancel out. And I have 5x on this side is equal to 20 minus 10 will give me 10. And then my third step, step 3, is to undo multiplication or division on the variable side. So to get rid of this 5 times x, to undo that, I divide by 5. And I have to do that to the other side as well. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. And then 5 over 5 cancels out, leaves me with x is equal to, and then 10 divided by 5 would give me 2. So I have x is equal to 2, and I'm done. Now I can check my answer by plugging the 2 in for the x. So I would have 2 times 2, which would give me 4. I would have 3 times 2, which would give me 6. So then 4 plus 6 is 10, and add this 10, and I would get 20. So I know my answer is correct. Okay, let's look at another example of this. Okay, so I'm going to start again by extending my equal sign, and I'm going to look on the left side of the equation for any terms that are alike. And I notice that I have a 7x and I have a minus 3x. Okay. And remember, the minus 3x is just the same. You can think of that as a negative 3 or a minus 3. Doesn't really matter. So I have 7x minus 3x. That would give me 4x. And then I have my plus 5 equals. And then on this side, I have nothing to combine. 21 is all alone. So that's equal to 21. So that was my first step, combine terms that are alike. And then for step 2, again, I undo the addition or subtraction on the variable side. So I have a plus 5 that I need to undo, so the opposite of that is minus 5. okay? And then the plus 5 and the minus 5 cancel out, and I'm left with 4x is equal to 21 minus 5 would give me 16. And then in my last step, step 3, Step 3, I want to undo multiplication or division on the variable side. So it's 4 times x. So to undo times, I divide. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Then these 4's cancel out, leaving me with x is equal to 16 divided by 4 is 4. And again, like last time, we could plug this in to check it. All right, I want to show you one more that's not on your sheet. Just to remind you that sometimes when you're combining like terms, it's with constants. So if this is my equation, I notice that I have a plain old 10, that's called a constant, and a minus 2, which is also a constant. They don't have any x with them. And then you could combine those. So 10 minus 2 would give me 8, and then I'd have 8 plus 5x is equal to 48, and I could continue solving it that way. So sometimes the like terms have variables, but sometimes they do not. So now you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to and work on skill set C practice problems.